Hi everyone, my name's Alden. I'm a naturalist here at Discovery Place Nature, and that's where we're live from here on the back deck at Discovery Place Nature, right here in the heart of Charlotte, North Carolina. So, just want to take a minute and welcome you guys to this live stream. It's a beautiful day out here, so I couldn't be happier to be out here talking about autumn, and that's what we're going to talk about today. I'll give you guys a second maybe to tune in. Again, I'm a naturalist at Discovery Place, and part of my job, and the coolest part of my job, is to study the plant and animal world that's around us here in Charlotte, in our backyard at Discovery Place, and in the Piedmont, North Carolina. So what's cool about Discovery Place Nature is we're located just next to Little Sugar Creek Greenway, and we have a nice fragment of mature hardwood forest. Lots of amazing different trees, some that are 100 years plus even. So today, it is the season. It's fall. You guys can feel it in the air. It's gotten more crisp. Even the leaves are starting to drop. So I'm here to talk to you guys about autumn leaves and fall foliage. So the first thing we're going to discuss is why do leaves change color in the fall? It's one of our favorite parts of fall. The temperatures drop, the leaves go to yellow, orange, red, even purple. So some of you guys at home might already know the answer to this question. It's pretty simple, really. So as the earth orbits around the sun, the northern hemisphere starts to tilt slightly further away from the sun. The days become shorter and the temperatures become cooler. And that signals to the trees to stop the production of chlorophyll. Now, do you guys know what chlorophyll is? It's just the pigment in trees that produces food through photosynthesis. And it gives us a green color, a green appearance. So, the trees use chlorophyll, and then they take sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, and they produce sugar. And that sugar is the food for the trees. Alright, and that sugar can be stored, and all these nutrients move up and down these trees through tissues, between the leaves and the roots and back and forth. So, in the spring and summer months, the leaves are green. Now, when that chlorophyll production begins to break down, some of the other tree pigments begin to express themselves. Now, some of you guys might have a favorite color, fall leaf. Here in Charlotte, probably one of the most predominant colors we get in the fall is a golden yellow. Alright? Now, I'm going to show you right here one of the first trees to turn color in the fall. And it is our tulip tree, or yellow poplar, or tulip poplar tree. Alright? And it turns a bright, almost golden yellow in the fall. And it's one of the first leaves to change. And it's called the tulip tree, fitting because the leaf is tulip shaped. But what happens is when that chlorophyll production breaks down, the other pigments, there's carotenes in this leaf, begin to show. And that gives it a bright yellow color. So this is one of the easiest leaves to identify. Alright? It's a simple leaf. It's just one leaf, and it has a very distinct pattern. So while I'm out here with you guys, I do have a Peterson field guide. And one thing that I like to do is learn my trees. The colors are cool, but we have a field guide right here. You can even learn what species of tree. But there's some basic shapes of leaves in here. Fan lobe, narrow, elliptical. So when you're learning the shapes of your leaves, it's always helpful to have a field guide out there with you. So that's the tulip, or the tulip poplar, or the tulip tree, and it's changing right now. It's one of the first down here in Charlotte. All right. Now the second one, which also turns golden yellow, is going to be our hickories. There are an abundance of hickory trees in the Charlotte area, anywhere from mockernut hickory, bitternut hickory, shagbark hickory, pignut hickory. And they also turn, and they're starting to turn now I don't know if Brittany can pan. There's a few yellows we can see back here, but we're just beginning to get into that patchy season down here. So when you're walking along the green road in the parks, you might begin to see some of the yellow hickory trees. I've got a few out here, but we're just getting into it. But what's cool about hickory trees is they have a compound leaf, alright? And that compound leaf means the leaf is a combination of several leaflets. So this right here is an entire hickory leaf. Each individual is called a leaflet. So you have 1, 2, 3, and some of them have already fallen off. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright? Here's another example. This one's starting to turn too. But it's a compound leaf. Alright? Different from a simple leaf. And here's one of the leaflets. This one's pretty yellow already from our hickory tree. So what a deciduous tree does, what its adaptation is to go dormant in the winter. So when those temperatures drop and the sunlight changes, they can actually shed their leaves and then stop the production of food. And remember, they have a whole bunch of food and nutrients stored in their roots, so they can survive winters that way. So hickories are going to be turning bright golden yellow, alright? Now, you might see that maybe they go straight to brown, and then sometimes we get disappointed with our fall leaves, and there's a lot of factors that could cause a leaf to brown. Extreme, maybe colder than normal, rainfall amounts. Now, one of my, really probably my favorite tree that's here at Discovery Place Nature and throughout the state of North Carolina is the Pawpaw Tree. It also turns a pretty bright yellow. Remember, that's the carotenes. We lose the chlorophyll, which gives the trees and the leaves a green color. That breaks down, and then the other pigments express themselves. So, carotenes, in this case, and this is a pawpaw leaf. It's a simple leaf, but it's big. It's not lobed. It's kind of elliptical or oblong. Now, pawpaw trees don't grow all over the place, but where they do, they grow in huge patches because they're kind of a colonal tree. So you might be lucky enough to have pawpaws in your backyard, or if you go to some of the forests and nature preserves throughout Charlotte. And here at Discovery Place Nature on our Pawpaw Trail, you can experience these big giant leaves. And what's so cool about these is they all turn yellow probably within the next 3 weeks, I would say. They'll all turn yellow, but they don't drop right away. They hold on to their leaves until a hard freeze, and then all at once the leaves fall. So last year I was walking the trail in the fall, and all the pawpaws were just yellow. It was beautiful. The understory was all yellow. Alright? And it was like that for several days, even a week. And then I got here the next day, and it was really cold the night before, and all the leaves had fallen off. And they just littered the forest floor. You couldn't even see the trail. It was amazing to see the forest change instantaneously, almost overnight. So that's the pawpaw tree. So I talked about some of the yellow ones, the carotenes. Now some of y'all might like the red or the purple colors. And yes, some of those are my favorite. So those are not starting to change yet. The yellows typically come first, which is just what I've kind of noticed through my observations. But we have a tree called a red oak tree, alright? Now, an oak tree, a northern red oak right here, has a simple leaf, but it's definitely really lobed, okay? Now what's cool about red oaks and red maples and sumac, those that give you your brilliant reds, they also have carotenes, but the carotenes react with another pigment, react with sugar and produce another pigment called anthocyanin. Anyhow, you can look it up. It's a tough one, but it causes the trees to produce some deep reds, bright reds, purples. So one of the most beautiful oak trees in the fall is going to be your northern red oak, and they'll be starting to turn in the next few weeks a very deep red. And then also our red maples, which I don't have a red maple leaf with me right now, so I do apologize for that. but your red maples are going to turn, really, really fiery red. But there are some other maple species in Charlotte that turn yellow. We do have some silver maples and sugar maples that might be lining your sidewalks. So get ready for some really, really beautiful fall colors. Now, this is another leaf from another oak tree, but this is a white oak tree, not well known for its colorful leaves in the fall. As a matter of fact, they kind of turn brown, and sometimes the leaves stay on the tree. But there are a lot of acorns dropping from these oak trees right now, and the white oak tree is the staple oak tree of eastern North America, and it's one of my favorite oak trees to have around. They use the wood of white oak to make bourbon barrels and aged bourbon, and it's just really great trees for wildlife in our area. But a simple leaf, just like a red oak, but much more rounded on the lobes. Alright? So, we talked about our tulip tree. This is the first tree, and it's changing right now. Alright? And it produces big green flowers in the spring. They fall all over your driveway. You've probably seen them. And right now, the hickories are just starting to turn. Another tree that's very similar to the hickory with the compound leaf is an ash tree, also beginning to turn yellow right now. So we're just on the verge. I was actually up in the higher elevations over the weekend, around 3,500 feet, and they're pretty close to peak. So those colors are traveling down in elevation, and it looks to be a pretty good Halloween forecast for leaf color, at least. So,
how can they tell when the leaves are going to change?
Yeah. So it's really interesting depending on the species of tree. Some are changing first, some are changing later, but you'll start to see little clusters or groups on twigs and branches start to change. And then pretty quickly, once those patches will grow and encompass the entire trees. But really the biggest triggers for the leaves to change in the fall are the temperature and the loss of sunlight. The tree produces a corky substance where the leaf meets the twig, and it basically triggers that leaf. Oh, your time is up. It makes it easy to fall off. The chlorophyll stops. You get the beautiful other pigments to show their color, and then eventually the leaves fall off. But one of the most detrimental things for fall foliage is going to be that wind. So we've avoided some of the windy days as of late, so we'll see, but fingers crossed that we don't have some bad storms. It's been a stormy year, so I'm hoping that, and Halloween's in 11 days, we should have some pretty good color for Halloween, and then the weeks or two to follow. I think peak around Charlotte is early, first or second week in November. So, but I just want to encourage you guys, while we have this great weather, it's actually a little bit warm. It's mid-70s to near 80 all week, cool at night, but it's just great weather to get outside, get some exercise, get some fresh air. We're all fatigued with this global pandemic. So it's really a great time to grab your field guide, grab your son, grab your daughter, your mom, your grandma, your friend, your sister, take a walk on the greenway, take a walk through your neighborhood, and just look at some of those leaves and, see what you find. And just make sure that you guys are staying healthy. If you're inside, practice those W's, wear weight and wash, and come visit us on the weekends. Thanks for tuning in.